So at the 8th of November, there was the grand opening, it was like the official opening for everybody, even on YouTube. And it was always like every day, it was connected to the native people. So the native people would open the whole day because it was the connection, from Egypt to the Americas. And there was always a very nice ceremony we did when we just connected to sun and the sky and the earth and the air, and to the 4 directions of the sky, like north, west, east, and south. And we thanked them, and we asked permission also of our ancestors and of the spirits of the place and of the earth to do our task and our work there, and to be supported by them. So that was always a very nice ceremony. It was all in Spanish, and in the end it was always like, con todo corazón, aha, con todo corazón, aha, which means with my full heart, aha. And I really liked that ceremony. Every day in the morning, we were like aligning with the elements and the spirits and the earth. It was really nice. And then in the evening, there was the activation of the icosahedra, meaning the activation of the element of air. And on the 9/11, the great opening of the native people was starting again. The first people have gotten into the dome and did their task in the Hall of Mirrors. And in the evening, there was the activation of the tetraeder of the fire, and it is probably the most watched video of this whole Argentina event, because there were some really nice channelings of Matias from Seth and Uriel and probably some other beings. And yeah, we were just reminded to be aware that it's not all about light, it's about the harmony of light and darkness, because even darkness is some form of light, like the void speaking to us. And yeah, really being able to experience that everything has its part here, because everything here is just working because of polarity. And to experience, the whole of it, for me, it made really a lot of sense. That was about that. And before in the day, we always had our group gatherings, and we were all women in our group. I don't know, I think we were the only group where there was not one man in it, and actually the mantra our group had was about balance, it was about recognition, and it was about gestation. So it actually made sense that there was no man in it. And it even made more sense when we went into the Hall of Mirrors on 11/11. And I will come to this because it was really a nice experience too. So in those meetings we had in the group, there was one girl who offered to speak light language and to have like a session of light language with us. And she started to speak it. And then I remembered in my group in Egypt, I had the same experience. Like one girl of our group was offering light language for us. And at that time in Egypt, I was thinking, like when I heard it for the first time, I was like, really? I mean, come on, this is like what I did as a kid, like when I couldn't sleep, I just would talk in this gibberish language, not making sense to anyone. And I finally got to sleep with it. You're telling me this is light language? Of course, I don't know. Everybody can do it. I just didn't really take it serious, And then when this girl now in Argentina coincidentally, being in my group started with this light language. I was like, oh my God, this sounds so familiar. I could talk with her in this language. And I realized, oh my God, it's really something that is like more with me than even my mother tongue. It's sitting here, you know, I could speak at any time. And I was like, what? This is something, this is not gibberish, this is not child language, this is supposed to be light language. Are you serious? And I was like, okay, I have to try that when I'm home. So I tried it when I came back to Germany, like maybe a week after that. And I watched some videos in YouTube, and I was like after the second or third, I was just like, it just came out of me. I just didn't even give the order to speak. It just kind of spoke out of me, and I was speaking like for hours, and I was singing, and I was having other voices in me. It was really like, it was like, I don't know, something that had nothing to do with Anja. So it was really quite amazing. I'm still in the exploring process of the whole thing. So I mean, it's not for understanding. It's not something the mind can do anything with it, but it's really going into the cells. It's really doing something with you, and it's kind of balancing and healing and harmonizing and whatever. And it's really a multi-dimensional language. And I was just fascinated. And this was really a gift for me of Argentina to have found out something I didn't recognize until then, you know. So for me, it was a really nice souvenir to take home. And probably I will do something with that in future times when I'm getting more familiar with that and how to use it. So has anybody of you some experiences with that in Argentina, to just find out something about oneself that you didn't even really know? Deborah, yes?
So for me, it was wonderful because we had a workshop before the event, and the 40 days quarantine and carrying our little stone with us everywhere we went. There was quite a phenomenal preparation to get there, and we're all excited to get there. And all of that work and all of that learning and trying to, you know, really be part of it. But I didn't really understand that I was this cell of this huge being that was being created. And to have, because every day was filled with dancing and singing, the voice, and I don't carry a tune, so I don't share my voice very much. So, and my coordinator, this isn't a concert. This is, you're participating. You got to be, your voice matters. And so we all had to use our voice, and I don't care what you sound like, your voice matters. You're part of the cell. You're part of this whole being. And then to witness that day by day and in the Hall of Mirrors. And then in the final, when you see those pictures, when we all made that what he called it, like acupuncture into Mother Earth, of us all touching and be part of the ceremony. You're actually this huge being of thousands of people, and it was just full of nothing but love and harmony, and just love, everybody's unconditional love and helping each other, and just feeling that you're just expanding, you're all of one heart, and you're an individual doing your part. You know, you're representing your node. I was physical in my letter was about death and rebirth, which is exactly what we were doing. We were part of this birth, this rebirth, that, you know, from the ancient to the new. And so it was phenomenal, just my voice being in the singing in the Hall of Domes, when the Hall of Mirrors, I'm sorry. you got it. But but singing in there and just the vibration that happens, and then you start, and it's pitch black. It's pitch black when you're in there, and you go and you're doing the singing and this meditation, and Matias is talking, and mine was part of the English speaking group, so that was nice, but for me, but I saw things that I had never seen before in my vision through my higher self, and meeting Uriel and those beings who came in, and the dragons, and there was eagles flying around every time Matias was up speaking. There was eagles flying around on top of us, but my neighbors next to me, the others next to me, we shared afterwards our visions that we were seeing in there, and they were all unique to each other. I mean, each person had a unique experience. It was individualized, but yet you're part of this huge being. It was wonderful. It was phenomenal experience. And for me, that was the first time I ever used a passport in my life. And I'm 65.
Wow!
So I raised my family and all this. So it was like, I was part of Ether for Egypt, and I went to the Four Corners.
Oh, wow.
The Four Corners is kind of like going to Egypt. You're in the middle of the native reservation. You don't want to go in there and show them your religion's better. It's not a religion, but they're not going to see it like that. You're trying to tell me, So I had to do it because in Ether you're spinning. We were spinning after this energy, and so I had to be very discreet where I spun. But I went to the Four Corners each day of the Egypt experience, and it was all beautiful to be part of. So, but thank you. Yeah, it's just actually created my own little PowerPoint of all of the videos from each day to put it in sync for me, so that for my memory it's all laid out for me. So it was awesome.
Wow. So, thank you so much. Oh my God, this is amazing. Thank you. Wow. Thank you for sharing. This is exactly what I mean, like this unique experience everybody has, and I can just only share my unique experience, because even if the experience is unique, there is one red thread through every unique story, and this is the actual message of all of them. So thank you. And just going to the day of 11/11, because you just spoke about it, that was the day our group was to be going into the Hall of Mirrors. And it was very interesting because we just went there in the first hours of 11/11, because we were the group before the last group, the second last group, like you would say in English probably. So we had to be there actually on 2:30 in the morning. And the thing was that the group before us, they did such a great job that all elements broke loose. Like it started to rain like crazy in the middle of the night. There was storm, there was thunder, there was lightning, really strong lightning, and the buses and the transportation, the buses and cars and taxis, what was organized from the foundation that should pick us up in our accommodations, they didn't have any chance. So our coordinator told us, you have to be in the Pueblo at the Black Gate at 2:00 punctual. Otherwise, the whole thing will not be able to go through because you are missing. So she was really like, be there at 2:00. And I was just standing at from 1:00, we were to be picked up in the buses. So we were standing there in front of our hotels or in the hotels because it was raining like something, in white clothes, just everybody with white clothes, and waiting for the transportation. Nothing arrived. So it was 10 to 2 o'clock, and I still was in my hotel. So I was just beyond anything, because I was like, oh my God, I'm missing the one thing I'm here to do, and no taxi arrived. Even when I called another one, they just didn't appear. So I just ran out on the street. I got wet in the same second I went out. I was just soaked the first 3 seconds I went out of this accommodation, just in the middle of the street, because they told me in my hotel there is a taxi station just when you go around the corner, like 50 meters or something like that. Just go there and try if you can get a taxi there. So I'm kind of in the middle of a street. I didn't see any taxi station. And then I saw a car in the middle of the street with 2 girls looking at me, very with eyes wide open and very kind of expecting. And I just ran to this car and opened the door and asked, I have to go to the Portland country. I have to be there at 2 o'clock, everything in Spanish, and can you bring me there? And they're like, yes, hop in. So I just went in. I was just wet as I was. I went into this car. They were just driving me like crazy to the Pueblo, and I was telling them, you know what? You are angels. You are angels. You are such an angel. And they were totally amused about me. And I went there, and I went through the gate, and nobody was there. I saw nobody, and I was like, oh my God. And I went to the dome, which was kind of a way, from the gate to the dome. Was like maybe 200 meters. I don't know, like through the darkness. I couldn't see anything because it rained like dogs and cats, and the phone, the light of the phone wasn't giving me a lot of light. So I was kind of stumbling in the dark, kind of went to the dome. I saw nobody, no soul. And then I arrived at the dome. Somehow I crawled up the rock because I couldn't find the stairs. And the door was closed. And inside I could hear people chanting. And I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. I just lost it. I just lost the one thing. I'm here. I couldn't believe it. I was just not myself anymore. Like, I stood there for a few minutes, hearing them chanting. And then I was like, I can't stay here because it's just still raining. So I kind of tried to find my way back through the darkness, through the rocks, and went to the street. And then I saw another one from my group. And I was like, oh my God, you know what? I think we missed our task. And she was like, no, they are all there in the tent. Just a little bit beside the main street. They're all there. And I was, what? And suddenly at the gate there were all the coordinators, and there was light, and there was everything. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't miss it. Oh my God. I was so completely wet. I was shivering. But I was so happy, I was like this, because everything on me was just wet and cold, and the storm and everything. And I was so happy. And the thing is, all the people, we all arrived because just through so many miracles. One of my group was telling me, you know what? I had the same experience as you with the car. Only that I didn't even ask if they would like to drive me to the Pueblo country. I just hopped in. I just hopped into this car with those strange people, just finding out that those strange people were people from my group from Egypt. And they just drove there. So there were so many people telling like each other the miracles, how they could actually arrive, even when the elements went crazy. So we were complete in the end, and we could actually go to the dome because the other group was just finished, and somebody gave me a blanket. And the thing is, what I just realized afterwards, we were baptized. All of us were baptized. We were all completely wet when we went into the dome. All of us had some kind of, soaked up some water, and we were just entering the dome, having been baptized from all the elements. And in the dome, you could really see like the lightning went through the dome. Like there's one little spot in the ceiling that is not darkened. You can see the light there in the daytime. And in this night, you could just see the lightnings, and it just went through the middle. And it was such an experience to be there, like the thunder rolling, the rain really heavy going onto the ceiling, the lightning you see, and I could just really feel the earth vibrating. And it was all about being a mother inside the dome. It was all about us being the mother. And it was really like something is being born. And we realized afterwards, when we are talking about that, most of us were not sitting like, like the Merkaba, but at one point we are sitting like this with like really like women who were actually birthing, like with the knees to us, and we were really sitting like we would give birth, just out of a natural instinct or whatever. And I was like, oh my God. I was realizing that I was sitting there, but I couldn't go back to the normal position. I had to stay like that. And afterwards I was like, oh my God, that happened to a lot of us. So it made also makes so much sense, and it was really an incredible experience. And some people of our group said it was even more intense for them than the pyramid experience in Egypt. For me, it was like, I can't really compare. Egypt was just another level. I think I had the most profound experience of my life in the pyramid, but this one was also, it was with all the elements, it was just, oh my God, very, 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 very deep. And it was about the mother, it was about Mother Earth, and it was about gestation. Our group was about being pregnant, remember? So it was also perfect. And actually, during that time in the dome where we all went, there was a dog inside the dome, because it was not really a dog, it was a being, of course. Every dog is a being too, but it was a special being. And Matias actually let it into the dome at some point. So the dog really went in the dome, and he just made his circles and touched a lot of us. And at one point, I think he went out again. And that dog appeared the following day, like the same day, like 11/11, when our group had lunch. This dog came to our group and had lunch with us. Really, like, we gave them from our lunch, and he was just staying here for a long time. And then we were like, oh my God, he recognizes us from the dome, from the night there. And actually, who wasn't in the dome from of you, I can tell you, there was some black paint, because the floor of the the dome wasn't really dry. It didn't dry off because it was kind of fresh paint. So we were told by our coordinator, yes, you are invited to wear white clothes, at least from here. But when you wear white trousers, be aware that you might never get rid of this black paint anymore. And I have black paint now everywhere, on my white jacket, on my white shoes, on my white trousers. So it will probably be a reminder or a souvenir from Argentina for the rest of its life. Yeah, that was about the 11th. And there was another thing, because the activation in the dome wasn't the only activation. As we learned afterwards, there was another activation to come we didn't know about at that time, because on the 22nd, which was the portal day, the last portal day for a long time, I think even hundreds of years, I don't know, but like really a long time, where special information could be delivered to the earth. So the task was, you probably heard about it, that for the last 1.5 years, something around that, the group around Matias carried special crystals to deliver them to the points of the icosahedral grid of the network of the earth, to the nodes of them. But it turned out that because of the pandemic, a lot of them couldn't get to their actual nodes because of some restrictions. So at the end, they said, we can't do this. We have to invite others who are living in those countries and those areas to deliver those precious crystals where they belong, because it was very important for these crystals to be buried in the water. I think all of them, because water is, saving the information, to be put into the water, because these crystals were about to create some gravity point where a lot of information could be drawn to in the next hundreds and thousands of years and be harmonized and balanced. So it would be really important that these crystals would be delivered and on this last possible day, portal day, from other people. And we were all to accompany them with spirit and, activate everything on that day. And it was very interesting, because in our group there was one woman who was one of those new Adelians who brought this crystal to Egypt, because she was living in Egypt for that time. And, I think you don't mind, Sandra, when I tell this story, like she was only either in Egypt, even if she was living in Egypt for that time, she was living in Cairo, she was living in Giza actually. And then she was, one day she just heard Matias talking about Argentina, and somehow there came this impulse when she realized, oh my God, I think I have to be in Argentina. Oh my God, I don't have the money. Oh my God, I think I have to be in Argentina. Few days later, one woman was writing her and telling her, you know what? I think you should go to Argentina, and I'm sending you the money for that. Oh my God. And after that, when she was registering for Argentina, she got contacted by the foundation, being asked if she would be willing to deliver one of the crystals and be a new Adelian. I mean, this is what I call miracles. That you just say yes and everything just flows. Because it has to be like that. She was just the right one to deliver the crystal to Egypt, because she even has had such a crystal in her hands before, because she was one of 12 others to hold the crystals in the pyramid on one day. so they could be activated. So she was like, oh, maybe it's even the same crystal, you know. So, and for me, it was kind of miraculous, because actually my flight originally would go back on the 19th. And then I had the whole time, and you didn't know about the 22nd, right? Until a few days before. And the whole time I was like, I don't think I'm going back on 19th. I don't know. And then one day I just decided, I'm not going back. I'm staying here until like the 22nd is over, and I booked a new flight. So it was for me, it didn't matter. I just knew I had to be there. And then maybe 2 hours after that, Matias is posting something on his Instagram telling us 22nd of November, who is still there, we will meet at the Hall of Mirrors to do the great activation. I was like, oh my God, you know, just following the guidance. And then I knew, oh my God, I know where I have to be on 22nd, because at that time I was some other place in Argentina. I was like, all right, I'm coming. Isn't it amazing? So I tried to show you a video I made that I didn't publish yet.
So the crystals are being delivered since this morning, because now in the Pacific Ocean is already night. So they have been delivered, some of them. What we are going to do here is to connect the entire network, to weave it, and to represent all the nodes of all the people that are in the network. So we are going to transmit this. We can. And the main idea is for us to constantly weave the network that you will see here. The first node, the most important, Egypt, is here. It's one of these pentagons at the door with a pyramid. And the one on the top is Nuuk, Greenland. So from there, you can picture where's the planet, okay, from inside. We're going to be inside the Earth, weaving that. Just when you get inside, go very close to one another. We're going to be only 1 hour all together, and then I will invite you kindly or not to go out. Because otherwise it will become a sauna. I will keep going inside, keeping with the activation, but the main thing is now at 11. Okay. Los teléfonos, por favor, apáguenlos. Please turn off your phones.
Nice, isn't it? And for me, it was a very different experience in the dome to be there at daylight in comparison with our pitch dark night rain thunder thing we had on 11/11. It was just fun. It was light. You could see you could actually see, you know, yourself being mirrored of all those mirrors, because in the night you couldn't see anything. So it was dense, because we were like, I don't know, there was not one mouse fitting into this dome anymore, because we were a lot of people and they had to do it twice. Like we did 2 rounds. I wasn't the first, and there were other people who went there a second time with Matias. You probably saw it in Instagram. It was really a very, very light and kind of joyful experience, even if the activation was kind of strong too and intense. But the whole experience was really light filled for me. And in the evening of the 22nd, there was another activation. It was at 6 o'clock. And the thing was, nobody knew about it. I kind of had the idea to be there at 6 o'clock, but I will tell you in a minute why I didn't go. He was having dinner with his friends, and suddenly Matias stood up and said, let's go to the dome. You know, it was just out of, you have to go to the dome another time. They went there, and it were exactly 32 people. 32 people for 32 notes. So they represented all the notes of the earth. And they had this experience, you probably saw it on Instagram from him. He had this bowl of wood, this wooden bowl, and it was about weaving. The whole thing was about the spider, the big spider weaving his net. And then in this bowl, there was a spider appearing and weaving a white net in this wooden bowl in this activation, the second activation of the evening. Oh my God. Part of me would have really liked to be there at the time, but I knew it's perfect because I would have been one too much, you know, because they were just the exact amount of people that had to be there. It's amazing. And the reason why I wasn't there was, it's a whole other story I will probably share in one of my videos in the next months and years, but it was incredible because I don't know if you heard of the ergs before, the multidimensional beings. And I hear people talking about, you could kind of see them as lights when you go with special guides to the mountains, and you could see them. And I was like, I'm a curious being, you know, and I really wanted to know. So on the 22nd in the evening, I went with a very, very, very nice guide, because it's really worth sharing it. And it was the best finish ever for me of the whole Argentina thing. And yeah, this is where I would like to close this meeting today. Maybe I can transmit how special that was for me. I just thank you from my heart to have been there and to just have listened and to have enabled me to share what I couldn't share just sitting in front of a camera and speaking with kind of nothing. So really, thank you so much of being part of that sharing, and spread it. Whatever you resonated with you, just put it into something, some action or some word, or maybe you write something or you go into meditation about this or whatever. So just to be sure that is kind of carried on and you know, flower. So that was just my sharing. I really hope a lot of people will do their sharings too, because I think it is really important. And yes, thank you for being here. I'm really grateful, and from all over the world, have a nice evening or day, whatever time it is with you, and probably we'll see each other at some other time and at some other place. But you are my family. Thank you for that. Bye bye, sweetheart.